Welcome to Lupus Speaks podcast, and I'm your host, Shadrika Holmes. Here, we speak on lupus and all things beyond the medicine. So let's get started. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to Lupus Speaks podcast. Today, I'm bringing you a guest that I am so excited about. Health coach Cheryl Howe with Second Nature, making natural again. Like, how exciting is that title? Making natural again. Well, on today's episode, we're going to talk about her business and also the importance of your gut health and ways that we can um, use tools and other resources to improve our overall health, especially with the foods that we eat. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce health coach Cheryl Howell. I am not a healthcare professional or a licensed therapist. If you are in need of any professional help, I use and recommend Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. But for real, any information that I share on this podcast is from my experiences and my experiences only. So, if you are looking to make any lifestyle changes, then I highly recommend you speaking with your doctor first. Without further ado, let's get back to the show. I'm so excited to introduce you guys to her. Cheryl.
Hi.
So, we want to talk about a little bit how we met.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what brought you to that support group where I met you at?
Okay. Well, it was actually through some contacts.
Mm-hmm.
So someone who I know was actually asked if they would be interested in speaking, and they went ahead and just passed it on to me and said, "Would you like to speak instead?" And so I think the organizer of the support group knew of them and asked them if they wanted to come. So I came in their place and was so thankful too. It was neat to meet some new people and some new contacts, and but that's how I was asked to come speak to y'all's group.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I ran into you because
Me too.
I really did not know what I thought I knew.
Oh, wow.
Especially when it came to lupus and the gut health, I thought I just knew everything, and you kind of gave me more information about different things of supplements and things that we could do to improve our overall health.
Great.
So, what exactly is Second Nature, making natural again? What brought you to that place or that name?
Well, I believe it was around 12 years ago that I had some health issues I was dealing with. I've had issues with acne, like at times really bad, and especially in my early 20s and early 30s. It came back again in my early 30s. I also have had some severe cramps, period cramps, and that was kind of off and on as well. I got on birth control for about 10 years, which seemed to help both of those issues a little bit, a lot with the cramps. And I also took some pretty heavy anti-acne antibiotics and Accutane, some things that I wish I hadn't done now, but at the time didn't know better. And so in my 30s, I really started to look outside of those solutions into more natural options. I had some friends who were into especially the supplements, but then they really supported, my belief is that supplements supplement a healthy lifestyle, mm-hmm. and that's what they believed as well. So they really shared a lot of recipes and talked about real food and exercising and handling stress, things like that, and supplements to come alongside and help. And so I got really interested. I started learning more about um, our bodies and how God designed them, and also what He's made to help us.
Exactly.
And the more I learned about that, the more excited I became about natural health, and it also just really, it's very logical. It makes sense. So to me, that I'm a very logical person, and I was like, this just makes so much sense, and I believe that this truly is God's plan and design for us. And so in the last 6 years, I jumped out and left the job that I was in for 14 years and became a health coach. And so it's taken about 6 years now to actually be able to support myself just with health coaching. I've been able to do a lot of other part-time jobs to make ends meet until now. And so I'm super excited that now I get to do this all the time. Yeah. And because I love helping people. And I also just believe I love to speak truth. And so just sharing and educating, empowering people. This is not just a job, a career, or an occupation to me. It's a mission that I believe God's given me for the rest of my life, unless He changes something, to help people to learn His truths. And I love to educate and empower. And now I kind of have a new mission too, because of a company that that has some tools that I've been able to share with other people and use myself to end the trend of chronic disease.
Yes.
3 out of 4 deaths in our country right now are a result of chronic disease that is mostly preventable.
Oh, wow. Now that I did not know.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you are or went through that process of where I am right now, which is, the holistic natural route of healing myself and using other things that's not really medicine. So, especially when you find that relationship with God and you take the time to really get close to your spirit, you're like, oh, I need to heal, the things that are already there. So I kind of relate with what you're saying with that. So, how important is gut health, and in what ways can we heal our gut?
Okay. Well, I believe, and actually, it's been the belief for thousands of years, really, that gut health impacts every other part of the body. And I think the more scientists and medical field are finding out about the gut and how it works, is just backing up that belief that's been around for a really long time. And so a lot of times we don't associate certain things that are happening in our bodies with our digestion or with the gut, because it's not close to the gut. It might be the brain, it might be an ankle joint, or a knee joint, or skin. It could be like for me, the acne. That people just don't even associate with, oh, well, maybe something's off in my digestion, or maybe that constipation that I always have is having an effect.
I can relate to that.
Is having an effect on a completely different part of the body. And but if you start digging, and if anybody ever wants to get in touch with me after the podcast, we could talk more about this. But yes, the gut does impact all those things I mentioned and more. And so the question was,
what ways can we heal our gut?
Okay, so I really recommend kind of keeping it down to just a few simple steps. They're not easy, but they're simple. So there's no reason to complicate it, but I would talk about, or I would recommend reducing inflammation. Okay, so we could talk about that for a long time,
right.
But you want to decrease the things that go into the body that increase inflammation, and there's a lot of foods that do that. And then you want to increase the anti-inflammatory foods and drinks and things like that are going to reduce inflammation in the body. Stress is huge in creating inflammation in our body too. Sometimes we can't eliminate stress. In fact, a lot of times we can't eliminate stress. So in that case, what we want to do is make sure we support our bodies when under stress.
Okay.
And we also want to give our body a chance to get out of that fight or flight mode that it gets into when it's under stress. And so chronic stress will wreak havoc on the body. And so reducing inflammation, we want to make sure we balance our gut bacteria. There's more gut bacteria in our digestive tract than cells in our body. There are trillions of bacteria. And we just want to make sure that there's enough of the good to balance out the bad. And there's not a specific number or place to get at, but there are things we can do to support a good balance between the good and the bad bacteria, like eating, like taking probiotics and eating foods that have the good bacteria in them, and eating the types of foods that feed the good bacteria, called prebiotics. And so that's the best thing we can do. And sometimes we might need something that could eliminate some of the extra bad bacteria and yeast and parasites and things like that can grow up when we don't have enough of the good bacteria. So that's the second one, is balance the gut bacteria. And then the third would be to heal the gut lining. Okay, so over time, the gut lining gets damaged from the inflammation, from the lack of good bacteria, too much bad bacteria. And so there are certain things we can do to help the gut lining to heal, so that I kind of compare it to a sponge. Okay, so if you can kind of picture our gut lining as a sponge, you do want fully digested nutrients to get out through the sponge into the bloodstream. But you don't want big particles that are undigested, or what I call pathogens, the bad bacteria, the parasites, yeast, fungus. You don't want that to get out into your bloodstream. You don't want that to get through the sponge.
Right.
So if our digestive tract lining becomes less spongy, and you get actually these holes called leaky gut.
Right, that's what I remember.
Leaky gut?
It was the
Okay.
leaky gut. I knew it was something that stuck out to me during that conversation at the support group. It's the leaky gut.
So leaky gut allows those bigger things that shouldn't get through a sponge to get out into the bloodstream. And that's where, with autoimmune diseases like lupus and others, that's where the immune system starts to attack these foreign substances. They don't belong in the bloodstream. Starts attacking those, which then the immune system kind of goes haywire and starts attacking ourselves. Starts attacking our own tissues or skin or pancreas, like with type 1 diabetes. Starts attacking the pancreatic cells. So healing that gut lining is really important. Right. And I forgot to mention too that 70% of our immune system is found in our gut.
Really?
And
see,
so that's
got
why
these facts, girl. I don't know none of this stuff.
That's why gut health is so important for this topic, in talking about supporting and helping someone who's dealing with lupus or any other autoimmune disease.
Because I know from my own experience with lupus, it came like more so in the liver, And so I would break out in hives every single day for like 6 months.
Wow.
Oh my God. It was awful. And I didn't
Yeah.
know what was going on. And it was just like, take this, take that. And it was like a lot of the stuff that I was eating. And it wasn't until I cleaned up what I was eating and when my skin started to get better and the itching went away. Because that right there, I feel like that's worse than your fingers hurting. Like, it's itching and you can't scratch it. Like, it's underneath. It's like inside. It was like awful. So, like, that was, like, I get what you're saying about the gut and being disgusting because, you know, I experienced what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I'd rather eat an apple a day. You did say that, and I've been teaching my daughter to eat the whole entire apple. See, I do remember.
That's great.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what is Neolife and how does the products benefit lupus community?
Okay. Well, do you mind if I give 2 more points with the gut health
Go
part?
ahead.
And then I'll go into what Neolife is and how it can help with these things too, with these steps actually. One thing that I've become a little more aware of the importance of lately is increasing our stomach acid. If things are not working properly further up in our digestive tract, then it's going to have that domino effect further down. And so most of what we've been talking about so far with the gut bacteria and healing the gut lining is down below the stomach, but you have to have proper stomach acid in order for those things to work properly too. And so so making sure that you have enough stomach acid, there are tests you can do at home to see if you have enough stomach acid. And so that's something I could share with somebody, or you could probably Google it and find ways to do that.
You're like, I want to check my stomach acid. Like, where do you go for that?
Yeah. So check online for that, or get in touch with me. But it is super important, and I probably can't go into all of that in this podcast today. But super important to have enough stomach acid. And a lot of people who have acid reflux and heartburn issues think that they have enough or too much acid, and most people who deal with acid reflux and heartburn do not have enough stomach acid. And again, I can explain more of that later, or you could find an explanation of that probably online. The 5th step though is we have got, and this is the other one that to me is super important, and I didn't used to think of that it was as important as it is, but we've got to eliminate waste and toxins daily.
I need to get that regimen because I've never went regular ever since I was a child. It just doesn't, I don't know. I have to take all kinds of Miralax and all kinds of stuff, and of course I don't do it every day, but I'm not regular.
So there are a lot of tips for that too, for that step. The apple you brought up, eating a whole apple every day can help with that. But we have to get the waste and the toxins out of the body. It is just super unhealthy for that to stay in and to not move out. And it affects so many other things with how we feel and how our body functions. So that's super important. So those would be like the 5 steps with helping the gut to heal. Now you asked about Neolife, and Neolife is that tool I mentioned earlier that I came across 6 years ago when I got started in health coaching, and my love for this tool has grown much over the last 6 years to where now I'm extremely passionate. Neolife is a health and wellness company that's been around for 61 years now.
Oh, wow.
So
That's a long
time.
time. So it's not just this new thing.
It's not just a new thing. And when you start to get to know other people who have been a part of Neolife for 30, 40, 50 years even, you can tell that it works.
Okay.
And it is a whole food derived supplement company basically. They also have a line of extremely clean, non-toxic cleaners and personal products. And they also have some really good organic, non-toxic skincare line that's amazing. But today we're focusing more on gut health, and because if we improve the health of our gut, we're going to improve the health of our immune system. Our immune system will no longer be haywire, and
your skin improves, your hair
attack
improves,
yourself,
and stuff like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So and then you see all sorts of other side benefits to improving the health of the gut. Besides, the lupus and the lupus symptoms, you'll see all sorts of other things improve too. So as I mentioned earlier, I really believe, we need to look at this as a lifestyle change,
right?
And take a holistic approach. So dealing with stress, eliminating what we can eliminate, but helping the body to deal with the rest, because stress uses more nutrients. It uses it up quicker, kind of like with exercise.
Right.
So when we exercise, we burn calories faster, and so with stress has a similar effect on the body. We just don't realize it.
Right. And I like the way you use that, because we don't think of it like that, but it's pulling.
Yeah. So our body's needing more nutrients when we're under stress. It's hard because when we're under stress, we usually want to shut down. We're too busy to cook a good meal, prepare a good meal, exercise. We're not getting enough sleep usually. So it's hard when we're under stress, but it's actually more necessary.
Like how you said.
we need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, where was I going with that? So we need that holistic approach. And even if we are trying to eat well and get good nutrients into our bodies through our food, we're finding that the American diet and the food that's being put out there to us as Americans is still lacking nutrients.
Yeah.
Even if it's a good healthy meal with lots of vegetables, fruit, good fats, good protein, we're still lacking what our bodies are needing. And a lot of that has to do with the soil and what animals are being fed, and different things like that. So we need to, in most cases, we need to come alongside and supplement and add in more nutrients, especially if our body is working on healing,
right,
and regenerating. So if nobody has health issues and they feel great, then the supplementation need is probably lower. But if somebody's working on a health issue and they know they have a disease, or they know they have a weakness, and something that they want to see improve, then you're going to need more nutrients to do that.
I know this is probably a negative comment, but I really don't believe that no one is 100% healthy. Like,
I tend to agree with you there.
It's either some type of mental health, and not in a bad way, but like maybe they're dealing with something they haven't dealt with, and it does react in their body, or they just overly work or overly do something, so it's not 100% healthy. Because I have not seen yet a whole 100% person.
That's right.
You know,
I've got issues I'm working on still.
I'm just a believer if you continue to keep trying, like at least you're trying, then you get to have at least some kind of joy, happiness, or something. Like, you are passionate about this and sharing this information and letting others know how they can help themselves. So that's a good positive thing. So maybe you don't have it all together.
Nope.
But it seems like it.
Well, I thank the Lord that I do feel well, most of the time, and I don't have any major health issues, but no one's perfect.
Right.
And perfection is not a good goal.
Right.
In my health coaching, I do not ever set up perfection as the goal for somebody or for myself. I think progress is a good goal, and just continuing, like you said, it's a journey, and just continuing to put one foot in front of the other and just keep learning and keep applying what you're learning. Sometimes we learn things and we try it and it's not what our body needs, because everybody's different. And then we say, okay, well, I tried that for a while and I'm going to try something different now. But with Neolife, all those steps that I mentioned as far as helping the gut to heal. And what's weird, well, what I was going to say is Neolife has some great offerings and pieces of the puzzle to put together to help somebody to help the gut to heal. So I was going to say something else and I can't remember what it was now.
It's okay,
but with helping the gut, I was going to say helping the gut to heal really addresses the root cause with lupus and autoimmune. And so I've seen testimonies of people who didn't start with repairing the gut and helping the gut to heal. They started with basically like the basic nutrients that a lot of us are missing in our diets. Neolife has a foundational products. One is called Pro Vitality. It's just a packet of 4 supplements that kind of bridge the gap between what our bodies are needing on a daily basis and what we're not getting in our diets. It gives you the omega-3 fats. It gives you some other healthy fats from grain oils that help every cell in our bodies to be healthier, to get nutrients in and toxins out. It gives you the carotenoid antioxidants. That's kind of a fancy way of just saying some good antioxidants from fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
And then it gives you a multivitamin and mineral.
Oh, okay.
And so Pro Vitality is part of the foundation, and so is the Neolife Shake, which is a all 22 amino acid meal replacement. So it gives you protein, but it's also giving you vitamins and minerals and enzymes that you would get in a normal meal. And so that's the foundation. So a lot of people, the testimonies I've seen with lupus, start with those products usually and see a difference. But I really feel like targeting gut health is going to help somebody as well and help get to the root issue long term. Yeah. And so Neolife has great products to reduce inflammation, like we talked about. The omega-3 fats, the salmon oil plus is all 8 omega-3 fats to help reduce inflammation. And also a product called aloe vera plus, because aloe vera is extremely good also for helping to reduce inflammation. Balancing the gut bacteria, acidophilus plus is the probiotic that Neolife has, which is gives you the equivalent of 10 servings of yogurt. So you could either try to eat 10 servings of yogurt and get your good bacteria that way, or you could take 1 acidophilus plus. And garlic, allium is a great product as kind of like, for me, it is it's my go-to antibiotic. So I personally don't ever plan on ever taking an antibiotic the rest of my life.
Because you're going to take garlic.
I'm going to take the garlic.
Okay.
That's right. And sometimes worse infection or worse, a really bad virus is going to require more of the garlic. I take 1 every night anyway, just for prevention. But and I'll probably increase that at some point. But that helps to, we mentioned these pathogens that are in the gut that can overgrow when we don't have enough good bacteria. Well, the garlic is really helpful in killing those off.
So is that kind of the same if we eat a lot of garlic, or because I like
you can
garlic
eat a lot of garlic too. Yes. It is difficult to eat enough garlic to equal the potency of the garlic allium tablets.
Yeah.
But but I would never discourage somebody from eating
Garlic.
Yeah. So, and then the gut lining, again, the aloe helps the gut lining to heal. Neolife has a really great vitamin A product that helps the gut lining to heal. And zinc is, Neolife has a zinc product too that's really important for tightening up. They call them the junctions. Those are those holes that can develop. Zinc helps to tighten that up and keep it closed. So those are some. And again, eat foods that are high in these nutrients too. Look up zinc and what foods are high in zinc, and eat real food that is high in zinc. But when we're in the healing mode and we're trying to see progress and change quicker, we can add these supplements in to help speed up the process. And sometimes we just need it to get the process going. There's a product called Beta Gest that's from beetroot that increases our stomach acid. And so if we do find out that our stomach acid is low, Beta Gest is wonderful for helping to increase the acid so that our food in the stomach does properly digest. If you don't have enough acid, it doesn't properly digest.
Right.
You have enough acid, it properly digests. If you have enough acid, it kills foodborne pathogens, something that's growing on our food or that's in our food. You want a lot of acid in the stomach because it'll kill that before it goes down into the small intestine. So there's a lot of really important uses of that stomach acid. We don't absorb certain nutrients if we don't have enough stomach acid. So we don't absorb calcium, magnesium, iron, B12, and many other nutrients, which can lead then to osteoporosis, anemia, brain fog.
I have all that.
Yeah, low B12 will lead to a lot of things. So, so making sure we have enough stomach acid can increase the absorption of all of those nutrients I just mentioned and others.
So I have a question.
Okay.
With these supplements and these vitamins and all the things that your products have to offer, do you believe in the whole foods plant-based diet? Do you feel like that's the best way to be able to get all of these things for someone who couldn't afford to invest in these products? Would that be the better option for them?
Okay, good question. So yeah, whole food plant-based is huge right now, and even a lot of medical professionals are pushing that. So here's my opinion on that.
Okay.
Is that if someone so with whole food plant-based, you're a lot of times cutting out dairy and meat.
Right.
Okay, so if the dairy and meat that someone is consuming is toxic and inflammatory, so it's coming from animals who are raised in the concentrated animal feeding operations where they're crammed in a space together. You've got hundreds and thousands together. They're being fed grain, and mostly genetically modified grains. Those grains are also sprayed heavily with pesticides and herbicides. Sometimes the animals have to be administered antibiotics because they are in such a tight space. If one gets sick, they all get sick unless they have antibiotics. So a lot of times antibiotics come into play, which is causing a huge issue with antibiotic resistance in the body, and hormones too. A lot of times they're administered hormones so they grow quicker, so they can have a quicker turnaround and higher profit, with these animals. They're also lacking a lot. They're not in the sunlight. They're not eating grass or bugs or seeds and things like that. So the nutrients are deficient as well. So the products you're getting from, the meat, the dairy that you're getting from those animals is inflammatory, it's toxic, It's not good for the body. So if somebody were to cut those out of their diet, they're going to see some gains and some benefits to doing that, right? Now, what that does sometimes is it ignores the fact that we do have some farmers who are raising animals humanely and using really good quality feeds, or allowing the cows to eat grass, be out in the sunlight, no hormones, no antibiotics. There's not a need for that because they're actually getting vitamin D from the sunlight. So they actually have a better immune system.
Oh wow.
So they're not as sickly and likely to pass that disease around. The chickens are pastured and they're out eating bugs and seeds and grass and things like that. So and even pork, the pigs, there's pastured pork too, where the pigs are. I'm not trying to convince you to.
I'm not gonna go that far.
But when they're out eating, if they're labeled, if it's labeled pastured, that means they're out eating what pigs have eaten for thousands of years.
Right.
Not the genetically modified grains. It changes the value or the content even of the fats.
Right.
So we talk about omega-3 fats being anti-inflammatory. Omega-6 fats and some other fats are pro-inflammatory usually. So it's good to have a balance between those of what we're eating. Well, grain-fed animals are much higher in the omega-6 fats. Grass-fed and pastured animals are higher in the omega-3 fats. So I do an experiment sometimes where I show a difference between even the color in the yolk of an egg of a chicken who's pastured is usually a really deep orange color, and because it's high in nutrients. And one that's just grain fed, that you just get a typical egg from the store, tends to be more of a pale yellow. And so there can be a huge difference in nutrient values between the two. So I recommend eat lots of vegetables, yes. So when we talk about whole food, plant-based, yes, eat lots of plants and especially vegetables, and some of the berries and the fruits and things like that.
But not 100%.
But I believe we can get some really good nutrients from those meats, but you are going to pay more for them.
Yes, absolutely.
They're harder to find. So you may eat less of it anyway, because you can't afford to eat it every single day, every single meal. But there are important nutrients you do get from those that you can't get from plants.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried this whole foods plant-based diet because at first I was like 40 pounds heavier, so I had to figure out something.
Wow.
And I did I would say it's a difference between vegan and whole foods and plant-based. I feel like vegan is still processed foods that they use to substitute between what they're used to eating. So plant-based whole foods is all fruits and vegetables. And that was okay, but then I started to feel like I needed more, so I did what's they call it, pescatarian. So I did more of the seafoods, and because I just love fish and stuff like that. So that made me get some of like the meaty nutrients that I wasn't getting from actual like beef and pork and stuff like that. But now I just kind of I did go back to beef, but I do like the higher grade of beef. But I do meatless days most of the time. So like I may fluctuate, like during the week I won't eat meat, or switching and do a weekend without meat, just to kind of give myself a balance of not overdoing it. Because like I said, again, I don't digest well, so I don't try to make myself feel heavy. Yeah. So I do like, or I do prefer because my daughter, she never like eating meat, never. And so like fruits and vegetables and beans. I love beans. People like, well, if you're not eating meat, then what do you eat? And I'm like, there's so many meals that you can make without meat. So I think that's what my opinion is. I guess I don't really have an opinion. It just kind of depends on the person. Yes. Like I like the plant-based whole foods idea, but then again, I like my meat. And I think the biggest thing is, instead of the meat, is the dairy part of it all. Is what seems as though you get the most inflammation from the mucus buildup from that. So that would be something that I would cut out more.
Dairy, I didn't mention this, but dairy takes things a little step further. So a lot of times it is coming from animals who are being fed grains and sometimes hormones and antibiotics and things like that. So, but it takes a step further and it heats it super high so that it kills off any bad bacteria, but it also kills all the good bacteria that was in it as well.
So like the probiotics and stuff that we would need.
And it and it kills the enzymes needed to digest it. So that's huge.
Yeah.
And I think that is why a lot of times it does form mucus and is inflammatory and other things like that, because our bodies don't have enough of the enzymes, aren't producing enough of the enzymes to break down a product that has no enzymes in it, like the dairy does. So yeah, raw dairy does have the enzymes in it, does have the bacteria, the good bacteria, beneficial bacteria in it. Again, it's just a little harder to find those products.
And then I like to say, you pay now or you pay later. So
That's
it's worth buying $6 apples.
I agree. I totally agree. Yes, I think it's a worthwhile investment, and everybody's in different stages and different abilities. You just do the best that you can do where you're at.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For sharing and spending time with me. I know you got probably a lot of other things to do.
Well, I enjoyed this too.
So, last question.
Okay.
How or where can we find you to get more information about you and your products?
Okay. So, I do have a Facebook page. It's called Cheryl Howe Health Coach. And I have a Instagram called Second Nature. Again, my business, Second Nature, is like encouraging people to think about natural things as second nature. Like it's the first thing we think about, you know?
So is this a part of your coaching? Does that go into it, or is your coaching separate from that?
So I have, most of my coaching is free coaching with my customers.
Oh, no, that's a good benefit, guys.
That's right. So, and it's kind of, the people who contact me the most and have questions and want my help the most are generally the ones who get my help the most.
Okay.
If somebody is truly wanting help and they're reaching out to me and they're asking for it, then I'm happy to do what I can to provide that help. And what's neat is just seeing that people, I don't want to create a whole bunch of dependent people for the rest of their life. What's neat about this is people are being empowered to make good decisions for themselves. And so it's like once they get to a certain point and they are seeing progress, they're feeling better, making good choices, they know what they need to do, they don't need me anymore. Right, and that's what I want.
That's exactly what I want. I want people to know what to do so that we all can live happy and free and healthy, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think that is it.
Yeah. And I do have I've got a phone number and an email. People can contact me that way too. The phone number is on my Facebook.
Okay.
Yep. And so and they can contact you to get in touch with me too.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your family and your friends. And if you haven't already, go on over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Lupus Speaks. For show notes and more information, please go over to www.lupusspeaks.org. Remember, warriors, you do not have to fight this fight alone. I am with you, and I understand. Until next time, peace and be intentional.